Hello, and welcome to the Vision Systems Design Tech Summit Quick Chat with Components Express Incorporated, or CEI. My name is Dennis Semeka, Associate Editor at Vision Systems Design. Today I'll be speaking with Ray Berst, President at CEI. A full bio for Ray can be found by clicking on the speaker's name below the video. Ray, thank you for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
An IP67 protection rating indicates hardware that is resistant to water and to particulate matter like dirt and dust. What components with IP67 protection are offered by CEI?
So everything that we build is a minimum of IP67. 67, it's split into two things. 6 means that it's impervious to dust incursion. So I is incursion, 6 is dust, and 7 is water, but it's only for, I believe, 30 seconds at 3 meters. So we actually build the IP68 in most cases at a minimum. So these enclosures we actually submerged to 6 atmospheres, about 180 feet in depth, or 60-ish meters. And instead of leaving them there for 30 seconds, we left them there for weeks, and no water incursion. So these are quite strong in terms of water and dust incursion.
Why did CEI decide to begin offering IP67 or 68 rated camera enclosures?
So it was kind of interesting. We looked at first of all, we were in the machine vision market and we wanted to grow the company, and said, well, we either need to build cables for a different market, or we need to build something else for our market. And I looked at the enclosures that were available in the industry, and I think we can add some value and really improve on what's out there. So the first thing we wanted to do is make them sort of boutique. So most enclosures or enclosure companies, when you purchase an enclosure, you basically are given a shoebox and you fit your camera in that giant shoebox. So our shoeboxes are much different. They're custom tailored to the actual camera. So this enclosure, for instance, kind of small, it's a 38 millimeter round enclosure, is tailored for like a 29 millimeter camera. The other thing, one of the other things that we did that is very unique is on the back of our enclosures. Normally when you have an enclosure, I don't have an example with me. Normally when you have an enclosure, the back of the enclosure has a cord grip. What a cord grip does, there's a slit, or you mill a hole in it, and you put your cable through it and connect it to your camera. We found this to be, normally one, they leak. 2, they're a real pain to install. 3, they're huge. So we actually utilize connectors on the back of the enclosure. It's very easy for us to do because we originally started as a cable company. So internally, we can make the cables and the connections and ensure to the customers that if you're using CameraLink, or if you're using M12 Xcode, RJ45 Ethernet, or Co-Express, that we maintain the signal integrity from the back of the enclosure through the interconnect into the camera. So that's something else that's very unique. Another thing that we do that's unique is you could take our enclosures apart on site. So one problem people have with enclosures is when they take the camera, they have to put the camera in the enclosure and adjust the lens, and then they close it. And if something changes, they need to readjust the focus or something. You can't do it. You have to take the entire enclosure apart to get back in and adjust that lens. In our case, you just unscrew the IP67 lens cap, and now we have access to the lens. So this is really convenient for our customers. Another thing that we found was very helpful in our industry is when an integrator gets an enclosure on site, it's very difficult for them to have the repeatability. If they're going to build 10 different lines, they want the cameras directed, aimed the same way every time. We have markings on our enclosures so that you can rotate the enclosure 360 degrees within its mount. You can move it up and down within its mount. And also the mounts are marked very clearly with a compass rose, 360 degrees on either side. so that you can also rotate and set that rotation the same every time. All of our enclosures are laced with a QR code on them. So customers can scan the QR code. There's assembly videos to show you how to put it together, take it apart, service it, order another one, which would be great. So these are things that are quite unique in our industry in terms of enclosures. And we recently were awarded a patent with over 20 different claims that were granted by the U.S. Patent Office. So we're very proud of that.
What kind of applications are these enclosures designed for? And who do you expect will be using this hardware?
Yeah, originally, it's funny. I brought a customer this. This is one of our extruded enclosures. It's actually for coax Berst, got a coaxial connector on the back. And the customer looked at it and really wasn't impressed at all. And this is kind of typical in the enclosure industry. You always show somebody something and they either don't want it or they want something a little bit different. And my customer was a major auto manufacturer, saw a round piece of round extrusion that I just had rolling around in my briefcase. And he said, could you make an enclosure out of that? And I said, sure. And actually, our vice president, Art Diedick, this is what he always wanted to do, because quite frankly, it's very economical to build round things because we can turn them on a lathe and we can do this very fast. And this is very flexible. It's extremely light. This enclosure is only, I forgot the exact weight, but it's ounces. It's the lightest enclosure in the industry, and it's catered to the customer. The other thing that we do is we offer a lot of different lens cap options. So if a customer has a different lens, it's a different diameter, it's not a problem. We have larger diameter, smaller diameter lens caps. We have longer ones and shorter ones. And within the lens cap, we also put in either acrylic or borosilicate. But to get back to your question, the automotive manufacturer at some point, one of the automotive manufacturers had a problem in their factory in that the sprinkler system went off. And when the sprinkler system went off, a lot of electronics got damaged. So they made it a requirement that all of their systems, the vision systems I know specifically, had to be housed in an IP67 enclosure. So it was a good opportunity for us, and that's really where it began. Other applications that we've had are they're very numerous. A lot of agriculture, vertical farming is a good spot for enclosures. Agriculture is a great spot. Any place where you really need to add protection to a camera. For the food and beverage industry, we offer a line of stainless steel enclosures with acrylic windows for that industry. The other thing that the automotive guys really like is they have a hard time mounting things and fixing them. So, this is an example of an accessory that we have where you can mount this. This is a smart vision light. You mount a light on the enclosure and it's fixed, and it's very easy to adjust and tighten down. It doesn't, it's a rigid mount. It's not a loose mount. So, that was really the core of our beginning was automotive, but now that this has branched out into ag, military vehicles, self-driving vehicles, I go on and on, but the beginning was mostly automotive.
Finally, for someone who is ready for CEI's IP67 rated camera enclosures, what can you tell us about pricing and availability?
Yeah, so the pricing on these enclosures is very competitive with other enclosures in the industry. I think you'll find them probably the same as some and a little bit less than others. So kind of in the middle price-wise. Quality-wise, I don't believe there's anything that compares to it. The availability, most of these components, these are our standards, the 38, the 55, 88 millimeter. I also have 103 millimeter that isn't shown here. Those are normally stock. Those are kind of our standards. The upside is if you need something completely custom, we've just now completed our automation to where we have a turn mill where we can literally program an enclosure, go build every part in a day. It takes another maybe week to anodize it. So, in as little as 2 weeks, we can go from concept to reality and have a finished product in the customer's hands. this is something that's quite unique because in machining, you really have to do a lot of setup and fixturing. And so to do one piece of anything is incredibly expensive. The way we've automated our systems, that's not necessary. It's quite sophisticated. So as these are very boutique things, there's several things we have to know from a customer. And I have a litany of questions that I ask, but the first is always, I need the manufacturer model number of the camera exact. I want to know the manufacturer and the model number of the lens exact. I need to know whether or not they want an IO connector on the back, any kind of special environmental concerns. I need to know that. So because we want to custom cater this, make it as compact as we possibly can, make it as light as we possibly can. These are ideal for collaborative robots. These are round, number one, and number two, they're very light. So with that, we return to the customer a three-dimensional drawing of what their enclosure is going to look like. Sometimes just a matter of putting the Lego pieces together. But other times, if we don't have that perfect Lego piece for the customer, we'll have to design that. But that's something we are now capable of building very rapidly.
Ray, I want to thank you again for your time today.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Just a reminder for the audience that today's session will be available here within the 2021 Vision Systems Design Tech Summit platform for the next 30 days. On behalf of Vision Systems Design and our sponsor, CEI, we would like to thank you for joining us today.